Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi amma ba'd. We did last Sunday the hadith of Tamim al-Dari, may Allah be pleased with him, about Naseehah. And we explained Naseehah for Allah, and Naseehah for the Book of Allah, and Naseehah for the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And today we do the last two, the Naseehah for the leaders of the Muslims. The leaders of the Muslims. Concerning the Naseehah for the Muslims, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam answered the question, Naseehahs for the Imma of the Muslims, the leaders of the Muslims, scholars say that the leaders of the Muslims can mean the ulama, and it can mean also the leaders, the governors, the khalifa, the people, the walatul umur. It can be this or it can be that. And the reason why they say it can mean the ulama, because the statement of Allah Ta'ala, وَلَوْ رَدُّوهُ إِلَى الرَّسُولِ وَإِلَى أُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْهُمْ لَعَلِمُهُ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَنبِطُونَهُ مِنْهُ. If they only would have referred it back to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was the leader during the time of the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, and during our time, we refer the issue of ikhtilaf or whatever back to the Sunnah, the Kitab or the Sunnah, or they refer it back to the leaders who were in charge of them. They would have taken and extracted the meaning for it. They said this is talking about the ulama, the people who understand the religion. So Naseehah to the leaders, it includes the leaders from the ulama, people of knowledge. As for the leaders, meaning the governor, the khalifa, the walatul umur, people who are in charge, and there are many proofs for that. Atiullaha wa atiur rasul wa ulul amri minkum. Oh, you believe, obey Allah unconditionally, obey his messenger unconditionally, and the leaders of the Muslims, the governors, the walatul umur over you. So it can mean this or that. But generally speaking, whenever it is mentioned, the imam or the a'imma, al-itlaq, like that, it usually means the governor, the khalifa. Usually means that. But it could mean this, it could mean that in this hadith. 7 people would be shaded in Allah's shade on the day that there would be no shade. And the first one he mentioned was the Imam Adil. This is talking about the leader of the Muslims. The leader, the Amir al-Mu'mineen. But it can mean this or that. As it relates to the leader of the Muslims being the scholars, then the meaning of that is we give nush to the scholars. We love them. We're sincere to them. We advise them with sincerity. And yes, you can advise a scholar. A scholar can be asked the question, and you know that the person who's asking his question is trying to get him in trouble. For an example, you advise him, don't answer the questions from Fulan or Allan. Be careful. These people are fitna, for an example. Or he may ask you a question, you advise him. Having a nush and nasiha to the ulama, the scholars, is for us to hold them in high regard. وَنَسْتَنِيرُ بِفَهْمِهِمْ وَفِقْهِهِمْ وَنَسْتَنِدْ إِلَىٰ آرَائِهِمْ وَأَقْوَالِهِمْ. They have dalil. We listen to them. We are not scholars to make ijtihad from the Quran and the Sunnah on our own. We have to ask those scholars. But which scholars? The ones who big up the dalil. We ask them, and we are guided by their guidance. And even if a scholar makes a mistake and we know that he makes a mistake, we should never hate the scholars of Al-Islam. If the scholar made a mistake, we have husn al-dhann, a good opinion about him, and we say he'll get a reward. When his ijtihad was ijtihad, that's permissible. But let's say a scholar makes a mistake and it's clear that that mistake is coming from a place, this could be a problem. We still have husn al-dhann, and we ask Allah to forgive him and make dua for him. Do not be of the people who hate the scholars of Islam, even if they take a position that you don't like. Whoever makes istighfaf of the ulama, and he looks at the ulama down and he says things like, they're men and we're men, your religion is going to leave you. Yes, they are men and we're men, but they are men unlike us. Meaning, are they equal, those who know and those who don't know? They're not equal, wallahi. So a Naseehah to the scholars is having all of those good opinions, respecting them, making things easy for them, and so forth and so on. Not going overboard with them and in them, not being a fitna with the scholars. And I say this because I saw in my lifetime where people were fitna for the ulama by asking questions they shouldn't ask. Why are you asking a scholar a question that if he were to tell the real answer to that question, he's going to get in trouble and you know it. And if he doesn't answer the question, it's going to be a shubha that's going to be created. People are going to say he's scared. He doesn't want to answer the question. And the ignorance of the people will cause them to disrespect that scholar. So you don't put him in that position. So we have to understand advising the scholars is realizing they are the waratha of the anbiya, not just the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are the inheritors of the prophets and the messengers. Salawatullahi wassalamu alayhim ajma'in. As for giving advice and having sincerity to the ulatul umur, the khalifa, the governors, then that means that we don't make khuruj against them, and that we advise them in the best way. We advise them in private, when that's the best thing to do. And that's the asl, to take him by his hand, to seclude yourself, him and you advise him because he's a person of authority. But if he does something out in the open and the situation necessitates and dictates that he is advised in the open, then you have to be sure that advising him in the open is not going to put him down and make ihana. You can't do something like that. Like in the Hadith of magic that we mentioned to you before, when Al-Walid ibn Uqba had the magician there, and the magician was entertaining the people, and Jundub came and took out the sword and dealt with the man. And Salman al-Farisi said, both of those companions did the wrong thing. He told the people that in public. He told them when they asked him, he said, both of them, the leader, he made it known to the people. The leader did the wrong thing because Salman al-Farisi knows lan tatarattab on that any mafsada, any fitna. Nothing going to come out of this. He said, as for Walid, the leader, he shouldn't have had that magician in front of the people. And as for Jundub, he should never have taken that sword out while the leader was there. That's not your job. The had and this thing is his responsibility. Respecting and advising and having sincerity to the leaders, it means we make dua for the hukam of the Muslims. All of them. We listen to them. We obey them. And what they tell us, that's not haram. We give them the zakat. We make jihad behind them. We make Jum'ah behind them. We make Hajj with them. And even if the leader of the Muslim happens to be a mubtadi', that a bid'ah that doesn't take you outside of Islam, he happens to make mistakes and do mistakes. He does those mistakes. We advise him first, taking him in public. For those taking him in private, especially those mistakes where we find clearly that the shabab and the ummah, they tend to have their hearts against the hukam of the Muslims, and that causes trials and tribulations. So all of that is as a nusх to the imams of al-Islam, the leaders of al-Islam. He's an innovator, and that innovation doesn't take him outside of Islam. We listen to them and we obey them. And what they don't tell us to do, that is against the deen, against the deen. And all of those things, halam mujara, all of those things like that. Don't be of those people who are against the hukam. I just told you a few minutes ago, whoever makes istighfar of those ulama, he looks down at the ulama. His religion is going to go. You won't have any religion. You a scholar? You're not a scholar. You're not a scholar. So if you look down at the scholars, you won't have a religion. Who are you going to turn to take your religion? And also, whoever looks at the hukam and he makes istighfar, he says, those leaders are nothing. Those leaders, his dunya is going to go. How's his dunya going to go? He's going to get put in jail. And he won't be able to work. He won't be able to get money. He'll get 25 years in prison for doing or saying something. Was the leader right for doing that? Maybe, maybe not. He gave the man 25 years unjustly. His dunya is gone. That's the point here. Because that man is in the position to do that to you. I'm not condoning that. I'm not endorsing that. I'm telling you it's the reality. Who in his right mind is going to walk down the street and see danger? It's a clear danger, and he's still going to go towards the danger when he could avoid it. He puts you in prison for 25 years, or he takes your life away. So this is a really important issue, especially during this time. I find it really weird and disturbing how in al-Islam, the Salaf of this ummah, they used to tell and warn the people and say to the Muslims that the leader of al-Islam, when he is in place, it is going to take away and subtract a lot of unnecessary drama. If there's already drama, him not being in place, there'll be more drama than that. The scholar the same way. The scholars told the people many times, the meat of the scholar is poisonous. Don't talk bad about him. It's poisonous. Nobody's going to get meat and eat it, and he knows it's poison, and they're going to avoid it. It's going to hurt you. It's going to harm you. So during this time, I can see here and mention many names of people who are speaking in English who you have to avoid. We need to avoid. I won't say it in the open, not out of fear of anything other than we don't want to create unnecessary fitna for our community, for ourselves, with the Muslims and the Shabab. Because the knowledge of the Muslims is a little. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids who are on the internet and they're keyboard warriors, and they make takfir the drop of a dime. Just emotions. Lastly, Ikhwani, this one is really important as well, is that he said, given sincerity, advice, nusх to the general Muslims, that we give advice to each one of us. I give advice to you and you give advice to me. I give advice to those who are older than me. They give advice to the one who is younger than him. I give advice to the shura gives advice to me. And you give advice to the shura gives advice to you. That's our religion. What is giving advice? Nusх, first of all, the existence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who we've been commanded. You have in the Messenger of Allah a perfect example. Follow the Sunnah. A perfect example. His whole existence was Naseehah. His whole existence was advising the Muslims. Ya Ali, la tatba' an-nadhra to nadhra. Ali, Ya Ali, he advised them. If you look one time, don't look again. That's advice. That's advice. Ya Abdullah ibn Umar, kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharib wa 'abir sabil. Abdullah ibn Umar, live in the dunya and don't be greedy and go overboard for the dunya. Don't get tricked by this dunya. What you have in this dunya, thank Allah and use it for the service of Allah. And don't get puffy and proud. Don't do that. Be in the dunya, ya Abdullah bin Umar, as if you were a stranger to this dunya. It's not in your heart. No matter what you have that's nice, your clothes, your car, your house, your furniture, your looks, whatever it is, be in the dunya like you're a stranger to it and it to you. And be in the dunya as if you're a person who's just crossing the street. You're born today, you wake up, you're gonna cross the street, die tomorrow. That's Naseehah. He told Mu'adh ibn Jabal, Ya Mu'adh, La tada'anna an dubri kulli salat. He said, do not forget at the end of every prayer to say these three things. Oh Allah, a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatika. I'm advising you every prayer, say that, every single prayer. He said, Haqqul Muslim ala al-Muslim sit. The right that a Muslim has on a Muslim is 6. One of them, إِذَا اسْتَنْصَحَكَ فَانْصَحْ لَهُ. If he asks you for advice, give him advice. Pure advice, sincere advice. Have ikhlas in what you're saying. That's our deen. The other day, last week, we mentioned and shown the meaning of an-nusх. Jarir ibn Abdullah al-Bajali said, I gave the bay'ah to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I'll establish the salat. I will give the zakat. And I will have sincerity and give nusх to every Muslim. Everyone. So a lot can be said about that. It's pretty clear. And then in concluding, I want to bring something very important to you. I was with a brother from the community. The brother of the community gave me advice. He said to me, why is it maybe you have a dalil because you and your students of our masjid are people who are learning and you put an emphasis on learning. So why is it that after Salat al-Maghrib, you guys don't make Salat the Nawafil prayer? He said, we don't see you making the Nawafil prayer. That was advice. I didn't say to him, what are you talking about? Don't you know that the Salaf said, like Imam Malik, when he was teaching, and the man made the adhan for the prayer, and the students kept sitting, and one student stood up, and he went to make the nawafil, the nafil prayer. Imam Malik said, sit down, sit down. What you're doing, learning, is better than those nawafil prayer that you're going to do. Sit down. I'm going to use that as a dalil and an excuse. No, I'm not going to use that excuse. I'm going to say that is naseehah to me and to the students and everybody else. That if we're students, then we should be the ones who are making the prayers and so forth and showing the sunnah better than other people or more than other people. Now, does that mean when we make the nawafil prayer, we make it so people can look at us? That's a jihad we all have to make. Got to push that off yourself. Someone advise you to do something, you do the best at doing it. That's it. You don't do it for them. We do it for Allah because that was a voice of reason. That was a voice of reason in the air. Hey, hey, hey. The students should be the examples in the masjid. So I mentioned that to you, taking that advice that was given to me and the observation to give it to you brothers as well. So that's the hadith of Tamim ad-Dari. Tamim ad-Dari, may Allah Azza wa Jal be pleased with him. Before we take any questions concerning today's lesson, some of the students said Sunday would be the best day for the 40 hadith class and not the day that they chose, we chose. So we have to decide that between ourselves. Today is Sunday, inshallah. Just get in contact with me, or we could do it now. Just whatever you brothers want. You let me know, and we'll do whatever day that, is easy for everybody, because on some of the days, people can't come to the class. Tuesday, I think, or one of the days they can't come to the class. Okay? All right, Ikhwani. Listen, Umar, don't sit like that, brother. Bring your feet in unless you got leg problems. Your ACL is okay? All right. All right, Ikhwani. Anybody got any question? Absolutely. We just prayed Salat al-Isha. So the person, when he brought this to my attention, was not talking about Salat al-Isha. That he's gonna have husn al-dhan. Everybody's getting up, going home, and they're doing it. And if a person feels he may pass when akramakumullah and then go home and may not do it, so he just does it in the masjid, it's easier. It wasn't talking about that. It was specific. The question was, is there something you have? It was no attack. You guys don't make the nawafil prayer after the maghrib. It said, is there a dalil? Is there something that you and the students, we see you not making the nawafil prayer after maghrib, where we're sitting here? So for that statement, it was specific. But no doubt, the salat that is in your house is better. Afdal salat, salam. The best salat, salam. The best salat is the prayer that you make in your house, except the wajib prayer. All right, any more questions? Hey, tfaddal. We talking about the time of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and respecting him, and Abu Bakr after him, and Umar after him, and Uthman after him, and Ali after him, all the way down to this time right now. The leaders in the Muslim world, the leaders in Africa, the leaders in Uzbekistan, all of the leaders of the Muslims, as long as they are Muslims and they are leading the people, this hadith is applicable. As long as he aliyah, we have to listen to him. We have to obey him. We don't renegade against him. We don't compromise his leadership and his rule. We don't make mu'amara and we make plots and plans to get him and get him out of there. We don't do that. We don't try to overthrow him as long as he's a Muslim. We gave the example before. If a person is in a position of leadership, he's in a position of leadership. Islam, we have to respect them, like the husband and his wife and children. Who? The leaders? Well, we have some other hadith that explain when the leader's bad and he takes your money and he strikes your back and he doesn't give you your rights and he plays favoritism. He gives money to his relatives and his family. Rasulullah told us about that. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said there are going to be some leaders who are going to be put over you and they're going to do bad and evil. He said when they do that bad and evil, those from amongst you who dislike what they're doing, it's going to be okay. Those from amongst you who you make inkar of what they're doing, it's going to be okay. But the one who is pleased with what they're doing and following what they're doing, then this one is going to have the problem, that person. The companion said, well, Rasulullah, if they're bad leaders, should we not take out the sword and fight them? Should we not do that? He said, no. As long as they establish the prayer, they pray, establish the prayer. And there are many examples of those types of hadith with the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we don't follow that, it's going to be a lot of confusion, more confusion in the earth than what we have right now. And we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that, inshallah. We'll deal with that. Are you recording me? It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead. It's okay. It's okay. I said it's okay. Go ahead. No, the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, between the adhan, between every adhan and iqama is rak'atain. He also says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, pray but after the adhan, between the adhan and maghrib, liman sha, whoever wants to. Right? Hadith said whoever wants, whoever. So if we find in our masjid of students and Salafis, we find that in our masjid, and we see other people doing that, then surely we should be in a race to be competing with them, to be better than them. Because that is what the companions did. He, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, told the people to make the dhikr. So the companions started making the dhikr. And in addition to making the dhikr, some companions who were rich and had money were given sadaqah. They were given sadaqah. So those people were poor. They were making dhikr, the poor and the rich were making dhikr together. They all were doing the same thing. But the rich people had more money to do more than them. The poor people came and said, Ya Rasulullah. The rich people ran off with all of the rewards. They make dhikr like us, they make salat like us, but they got fadul al-amwal, they got more money. He said, that's the fadl of Allah. Allah gives it to whoever He wants. I can't help that they got money from more than you. That's from Allah. But you see between them the munafasa. They just didn't say, I'm just going to sit down because no, they all trying to be in a race to be the best. So in making qiyas, you're young, you shouldn't let someone older beat you in these things. I'm younger. So I shouldn't allow a person who's older than me to put me to shame. I'm the imam. I shouldn't allow someone who's not the imam to put me to shame in the ibadat and so forth and so on. So that's it. And there's no problem if we want to ask about, but what about this? But what about this? And what about that? The salat after maghrib, I could have said, the nawafil, the nafila after maghrib, I could have said, the salat after maghrib is not wajib. You don't have to do it. Rasulullah gave you a choice. It has said that. But I think that's like jidal. That's like jidal. That's just being argumentative. But now that it came out, and I'm happy that you said that. Yes, there was sunnah between between the maghrib and isha. Wait a minute. No, there's sunnahs after maghrib. I'm getting mixed up here.
It's the
Yeah. The adhan and iqam is what I'm talking about. Yeah. If a person doesn't believe it, as we told you before, Ikhwani, and this is the last issue. You remember we spoke in that khutbah about fasting after the 15th of Sha'ban. We said there are some people who can fast after the 15th. The one who believes the hadith, إذا انتصف شعبان فلا تصوموا. If Sha'ban come 15, don't fast after that. Who is allowed to fast? The one who fasts one day on, he fasts, one day he doesn't fast. All year, he can fast. Rasulullah said that. Also, who can do it is the one who fasts every Monday and Thursday throughout his life. All the time he's doing that. He can fast after the 15th. Who else can do it? The one who says, I don't believe that hadith is authentic. And we can't force him to do that. That's what he believes. He really believes that. And you believe the other thing. So if a person doesn't believe that that is correct, what are we going to say? And then there's another thing, and this is the last thing, inshallah. It's really important. And that is, the scholars of Islam used to tell people, do what the people of your locale are doing as long as it's not haram. So if the people where you come from, if they don't say Ameen in the masjid, it may be better for you not to say Ameen, because by saying Ameen, you're going to make fitna. And don't say, it's the Sunnah. You're in a place where people don't know that. They think the Sunnah is innovation. And by you doing that, it's going to be a problem. In Uzbekistan, in places like that, you say, Ameen, they may slap you. Doing the prayer. I saw that with my own eye. Another thing in Uzbekistan, you know the Uzbeki, if you have a baby, you marry a Uzbeki lady, in their culture, the grandfather names the child. That's you don't name your child. Certain cultures in Africa like that. You do not name your child. And the culture dictates if you have a child, you must name the boy after your father or your wife's father or her mother, something like that. I'm married to an Uzbeki woman and I have a baby. That's my baby. It's not her grandfather's baby, that baby. He's going to take that from me? Yeah, I'm going to let him take it from me. Because if I don't let him name him, they're going to say I don't have any respect. I don't have any adab. I think everybody in this room, knowing what I know about you, everybody here is going to say, what? It's my son. Let anybody name my son. Everybody's going to say that. But that's their culture. And if you go against that culture, it's going to be problems. As long as what the people are doing is not haram, try not to go against the grain. So why we say that? In our masjid, if we find that people are doing this particular thing, that's another reason why we should be the first people who are doing it. And it shouldn't be any arguing or jidal or argumentation. Let's just do it. That's all. Make our niyyah sincere to Allah and just be better people because we receive that advice. Okay? Fasting after the 15th of Sha'ban. Prophet said if it becomes the 15th, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then stop fasting the Sha'ban. But if the person fasts every Monday and Thursday, for an example, he can go ahead and he can fast. He can go ahead and he can fast. But he told the people, he fasted more in Sha'ban than any other month other than Ramadan. But if the 15th comes, you should not fast. If he believes that hadith is authentic, Rasulullah told him not to do it. So Rasulullah said it, we should not have a problem with it. Because in it is khair for us. All right, Ikhwani, may Allah bless you, brothers, and may Allah reward everybody for coming out tonight because today is a night of barakah and khair, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.